It is almost time for war. Ryan Day called the Ohio State-Michigan game a war. He expects Saturday to be a war. He said when there's a war, there are casualties, but there are plunders that you get to enjoy for the winner. Tim May, the 41-year vet, he's seen a lot of these. I'm just Spencer Holbrook. I've seen a few of these. We're going to talk Ohio State-Michigan because the game week is finally here, the game between Ohio State and Michigan. Talk to Will Howard, the starting quarterback of this team, Ryan Day, the head coach of this team, and a couple other captains. Cody Simon, linebacker, kind of set the tone for everything. Tim, what'd you learn from these Buckeyes as they're just a few days from kicking off against the Wolverines?
It's time for war. It's time for war. Now put that to music. You come up with a song. Number two, I remember when I first moved up here in 1976 to go to Ohio State, to go to the Ohio State University. Was in the denouement of the Woody Hayes era. The Woody Hayes era, which set the word the 100-yard war. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it already had that connotation. But then Ohio State lost 3 in a row when I first moved up here. Didn't score a touchdown in the war. Never got a shot off, really, it seemed like. But the bottom line is Earl Bruce came in and flipped it a little bit. The thing that has happened in this, I always say that the best thing for any rivalry is more a win streak than the one team winning one year and the other the next, and you just flip it back and forth. It gives you more of an appreciation for what's at stake, why it matters, etc. So Ryan Day was right. For the 4th straight year, standing between Ohio State and where it wants to go, which is Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game and a rematch with Oregon, is Michigan. And all these players get it. Ryan Day clearly gets it. What I learned was that the passion is running deep this week for this game. And Will Howard was talking about, Will Howard's only been here 11 months, but he gets it. Mm-hmm. You know, anybody who understands and appreciates rivalries in any sport, the ultimate rivalries in any sport, gets it. You can see he is so very much looking forward to playing in this game. It goes for all these players because most of the guys we got to talk to today was either Will Howard or guys that have been here the last 3 years. You know, Jack Sawyer, Emeka Egbuka, Cody Simon. They understand what's at stake. They want to leave with a pair of gold pants, as Ryan Day said, with some hardware. They want to win the Big Ten championship. To get to the Big Ten championship game, you can't rely on somebody else knocking off necessarily Penn State and Indiana this week. To get to the Big Ten championship game, your assignment is to win your way there. And as Ryan Day has said, they've taken it 1 week at a time this entire season. He's very much looking forward to this week, though, to get the monkey off his back, to get the weight off his back, whatever you want to call it, but mainly for this team to get to where most of these players came back to get to, which is Indianapolis.
I guess we can end it there because it was all emotion talk today.
That's exactly right.
There was no football chatter.
Strategery. Nobody brought up strategery.
Nobody talked football whatsoever. We asked Emeka Egbuka, somebody asked Emeka Egbuka about what challenges the Michigan defense presents, and his answer was, I'm not getting into scheme this week.
Yeah.
They talked about the Michigan defensive line and how good they are. Will Howard said that they're really good players. They have a lot of, you can tell, Tim, that they have a lot of respect for the Michigan defensive line.
I would.
They know what the challenge is. Ryan Day said as much too, but other than that, it's like, hey, what are emotions like this week? How badly do you want to win this? What is it going to mean for you personally? The thing that I learned is Ryan Day wants to do this for his players, and his players more than ever want to do it for Ryan Day. Everything that you have said, yes, you have said about Ryan Day, these players have internalized for the last 3 years. It's just the bottom line. Like, you get the appreciation for how much they pay attention, but also how much they block out on a day like today when they're talking about what Coach Day has been through and winning for him, and Ryan Day talking about what these seniors have been through and talking about what it would mean for them to win. Like, that's all coming together as part of Saturday. Whether that makes them play loose or tight, I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday because we're not going to see this team again until they come out for warm-ups on Saturday. What I do know is this is a highly emotional group, but not in a way that you think they're going to play any different than their best. And I think Ohio State's going to give their best on Saturday.
Yeah. And bottom line is, the cliches have pretty much all been true about you got to win the battle on the ground. You got to, you want to outrush the opponent because you look at the history of this series. Usually the team that outrushes the other team wins the game.
Yeah.
I mean, but that doesn't mean you can't do it the other way either.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to somebody a minute ago. I said, why bet your head against a brick wall when you can just throw right over it or around it? And Ohio State has that capability. That's where I definitely, just like going into last week, I was saying that last week. I mean, I thought Ohio State should have thrown the ball 45 times against Indiana. It was there. Do it. And I think the same could be said to a certain extent against Michigan this week. I mean, they have a really good rush defense with some really good players up front. And the thing about scheme is, scheme only carries you so far. Well, you got like a Mason Graham and some of these guys, like Jalen Carter with Georgia a couple of years ago. They can just beat the guy in front of them or beat the two guys in front of them and make a play. So you've got to be cognizant of that. You know, it's not just scheme, it's not just technique, it's also this other guy across from you on that Michigan defensive front is damn good. You know?
And Tim, they might not know where the ball's going this time. So that also helps a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Ohio State's got that going for it, you would think.
Yeah.
Unless, there's something going on around here.
Yeah. Who knows where Connor Stallions really will be on Saturday, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll be in Ohio Stadium. If you want
he went to the national championship game last year.
If you want to be in Ohio Stadium on Saturday, thanks for the transition, Tim. GameTime.co and the GameTime app are the place to be. $20 off your first purchase when you go to the GameTime app and use the code ON3, ON, the number 3, ON3, for $20 off your first purchase in the GameTime app or at GameTime.co. A lot of tickets available, guys. They're expensive. It's Ohio State, Michigan. You know that. It's the game. Tickets are expensive, but if you want to make a lifelong memory, I think you're going to see an Ohio State win. Go to the GameTime app at GameTime.co, get your tickets, $20 off your first purchase, and use that GameTime Picks feature to sort through those tickets a lot easier. And then use the code ON3, you get $20 off your first purchase in the GameTime app and at GameTime.co. It's not quite game time, Tim.
Thank God.
This team is very locked in, though, in my opinion. Like, it just seems like they're ready. And if they took the field tomorrow, I think they'd all be happy about it. Jack Sawyer gave one of the more, passionate Tuesday press conferences I can remember, just what this means to him. A kid from Ohio, growing up watching this game, understanding it to the absolute fullest. I mean, you know his parents well and the things that they taught him about this rivalry. I was really, I think enthralled is the word. Like, you're just like captivated by what Jack is saying about this rivalry. And you know what? He said the same things last year, and they didn't come true.
Right.
But you get the sense that something's brewing here for this team with all of these seniors who came back for this, and I think Jack's kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, but you heard, obviously Jack Sawyer, the whole defense, I'm going to write about this as soon as we're done, is on a crescendo, and I had to explain to Jack what a crescendo meant. Obviously he has no musical background,
Yeah.
But the point is, this defense has just been getting better and better from do they make every play? No. Did they impose their will on Indiana last week? Yes. Did they impose their will on Penn State in the latter part of that game at Penn State? Absolutely. I mean, right on down the line, they shut out Purdue, so that says all you got to know about that. But the point is, they've really come on after the first couple of drives at Northwestern, shut Northwestern down, got a block punt. Special teams did. Special teams have delivered a huge play in the last 3 games. That's big to Ryan Day, who made that a point of emphasis when he stepped back and became a full head coach.
Can I interrupt you real quick? I think that is so important because,
of course,
even if they don't make a special teams play on Saturday,
they have.
We'll talk about this on Wednesday on Lettermen Live, presented by Wendy's, tomorrow at 1 o'clock. The fact that they've made those plays makes Michigan have to prepare even more for the special teams. I don't think you have to make a play for special teams to be an impact in this game. Sorry, that's a new thought in my head that we'll discuss that tomorrow.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That's a big deal. I mean, he saying like the sun is hot.
Yeah.
But by the way, I'm sorry I didn't jump in on your live stream last week. I literally forgot about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 70 years old. I beg your forgiveness, but I'm going to be on this week. What a special week. But back to what you're talking about. Yeah, special teams have come on, but the way the defense is playing with a certain elan. I mean, ELAN with a little slat, I think, accent mark over at the A, or maybe it's over the E. I forget.
I don't know.
But the point is, the way the defense is playing right now, you take a few penalties out of there. We know who we're talking about there, Davis Igbinosun a couple of times, and some other things. I mean, last week against Indiana was a tour de force. Yeah. Tour defense.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'll use. I'm going to use that in the story.
Okay.
Was a tour defense against a team coming in averaging 47 or whatever it was points a game. Now, we all know the previous game they had only scored 20 against Michigan, which was a harbinger for what we were about to see.
Yeah.
But the point is, this defense is playing like you thought it was going to play all year, kind of like an imposing, almost over-the-top kind of a presence. And they're going to be going against, I think Ohio State's still number 1 in total defense this week, if I remember the stats.
Yeah.
Michigan's like 123, 128 in total offense. Clearly,
something's got to give.
Clearly, they have to take advantage of that advantage. And I have a sense they will, because like I said, this defense, somebody's stepping up almost every game. But boy, is Cody Simon playing like an All-American.
Yeah.
He's not ready for the Buckeyes for some reason, but he's playing like an All-American at linebacker, and then everybody else right around him. So that'll be key, obviously, on Saturday. It's always key if you keep the other team from scoring.
Yeah, Michigan has not.
I like talking about just the basics, because this is a game of technique and basics.
It's a game of emotion and the
and
basics.
Want to.
It's emotion and the basics. If you keep your emotions in check, but you play emotional, you're going to be good on that regard. And if you handle the basics, tackling near the line of scrimmage in the run game, playing sound defense in the pass game, and running your offense the way that it's supposed to be run, you will win this game.
Yeah.
And that has not been said the last 3 years.
Usually.
Because these Michigan teams were better the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Now, anything can happen. The last 2 times Ohio State's been a 20-point favorite and Michigan didn't duck them, which happened in 2020. Michigan's won the game. So that's obviously something that Ohio State can't control, because none of these guys were alive when those 2 things happened in the 90s and 70s, respectively. But it's just something to think about. Like, Michigan, there's proof of concept here. Like, Michigan can come in here as a 20-point underdog and win this game. But if Ohio State takes care of business, plays with emotion, doesn't let emotion play with them, they're going to win the game. So those are the things that Ohio State has to deal with.
It's going to be 29 degrees, though. You know that, right?
It's going to be cold.
It's good. Yeah. There's going to be a wind involved.
I'll be wearing my coat.
I'm just glad God made me a sports media writer, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so we can be in the press box, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought anything else about it.
Well, you can't buy press box tickets online, but you can buy tickets to the game at Game Time in the Game Time app, gametime.co. $20 off your first purchase when you use the code ON3. If you haven't done that yet, now's your last chance to do it for a home game, unless something happens and the Buckeyes play another home game in the playoff. But if they beat Michigan and they beat Oregon in the Big Ten title game, they don't have to play one at home. They can just go straight to the Rose Bowl.
Hey, how weird, before we go, how weird is this that there is a possibility that on the college football playoff rankings, when they final ones come out on December the 8th, that Penn State could host Indiana in the first round?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Is that nuts or what?
That's the way it is, and we'll talk about that a lot next week for sure.
I mean, we were just talking about it a while ago, and it's like, wow, that would sum up this season. This has been a wacky year.
Tim May, the 41-year vet, Spencer Holbrook. On Saturday, we're going to be over there in the Horseshoe for the game, Ohio State versus Michigan 2024 edition. Until then, we're going to be over at LettermenRow.com and on the Lettermen Row YouTube channel. A lot of coverage coming. Yes, I know it's Thanksgiving week, feast week, as some call it. We're going to be feasting on the content. You guys are going to be consuming it, I guess. So I guess you guys are the feasters. We're the feasties.
And people with smart TVs, which, if you don't have one, get one.
Yeah.
If the Detroit game ends up being boring, you can jump on YouTube and watch us on Thursday.
Yeah. So
watch whatever it is you want to watch.
So we'll have Lettermen Live presented by Wendy's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Make sure you jump in. We're going to have a lot of questions. Tim and I will answer a lot of questions, talk about keys to the game and more. On Thursday, Mick Walker have Steve Wiltfong of On3 Sports on the YouTube channel to talk about Ohio State recruiting.
Boy, there's a major upset brewing in recruiting.
I know. And then on Friday, we're going to have bold predictions, because we always do, and that's just fun to do. That's Tim. I'm Spencer. You guys know that by now. Go to LettermenRow.com. Stick with the Lettermen Row YouTube channel. We'll see you wherever you get any of your Ohio State information, and we'll see you in the Horseshoe on Saturday for Ohio State and Michigan.